Zinzino. They're a publicly listed company in Sweden on the Nasdaq First North. And as many of you may know, Scandinavia especially is very, very strong in natural products and nature. It's a huge thing there. It's a very, very big thing there. And also Scandinavia is well known for having high quality products and high quality everything. They're very, very demanding that everything is correct. So we're very, very happy to be talking about this company today. Where I'm coming from, I'm a tennis coach. That's one background. So I'm very, very interested in health. And a few years ago, one of my friends said to me, Sasha, you're getting old. Well, obviously he wasn't actually being horrible to me. It was actually basically saying that as a tennis coach, you are limited by your physical capabilities. So I'm fine as long as I'm healthy, but if anything happens, then I'm not earning money and I can't coach. So it was a bit of a wake-up call. And then I was in Guatemala building a school, helping to build a school there for a week or so. And it was absolutely brilliant. And from that, sort of my heart sort of just went out, and I really, really felt the need that I wanted to help people more. So I was looking for something for that. And I wanted something that got down a little bit deeper, that didn't just brush over the surface. And so this is kind of where I was. And I was fed up really of working hour by hour. And I was actually shocked. I took the test that we're going to be talking about today. And even though I'm an athlete and everything, I was quite surprised by how bad my test was. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but anyway, so I've been using the products for a while now, and my sleep's better, my digestion's better. In fact, I'd started to get arthritis in my hands, and that's now gone. So I'm very, very happy with that. And also my recovery after exercise. So as an athlete, it's actually very, very important. The recovery, the speed of recovery, and also how the pain that you go through and everything. And I found that it works very, very well for that as well. So I feel great. And I'm really, really happy now that I've got the chance to help people. Very, very grateful for that. And yeah, so for me, this is an opportunity to help more and more people. It's an opportunity for me to have another income and to create some of the dreams that I really, really want to do. I want to travel the world. Philippines is one of the countries that I do definitely want to visit. Okay. And so, yeah, so that's kind of where I am. And it just so happened that Stelios and Harris spoke to me, called me just at the point when I was reading about almost exactly the same thing, about gut health, about vitamin D, about inflammation. So I'm very, very happy to be here today. So I hope you enjoy this. So as I said, sort of very, very interested in health and about helping people to be healthy, even and try and stop them actually developing symptoms. So the problem is that if you look at all the statistics, we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. All these chronic diseases, your diabetes, your arthritis, your dementia, your asthma and things like that are all increasing quite dramatically. And, it's time that we start looking at that and trying to see how we can arrest this accelerating worsening of our health. So as Hippocrates said, many, many things he said. One of them is about food being our medicine. I'm a huge, huge believer in that. And also one of the other things that he said that we'll be talking about in a bit is that the gut, all disease begins in the gut being down your intestines, etc. It's a bit lower than your stomach. So before the modern world, etc., and that we used to eat loads of vegetables, we eat loads of stuff. We would eat actually more calories because we were working, say, out in the fields and we needed more. We'd eat 3,000, 4,000 calories. And what we were eating was food that was packed full of nutrients, including beta-glucans, which we'll talk a little bit about, fibers and fats and everything, and the omega-6 and omega-3. And we had a very, very healthy diet. But then the industrial world came along and we started getting busier and busier and having to get food quickly. And if you go to the mall, for example, if you look around where all the places you can go to eat, it's so unhealthy. It's stock full of carbohydrate, sugar, really, really unhealthy food that's chocker full of omega-6 and not much omega-3. If we talk about vegetables and fruit, for example, apple, even 50 years ago, apples had about 70% more goodness in them than they do now. I don't remember the figures exactly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a very, very short video for you. This explains our main product in quite clearly. It's very good explanation.
Our nature is a powerful designer. When nutrients are in the right balance, we get a superfood. Zinzino provide cutting-edge, best-in-class products from the new science of pharmaconutrition, which uses active nutrients from food to fight the imbalances in our modern lifestyle. Eating fish is healthy. It is a well-known truth that higher levels of omega-3 support a healthy heart, an optimal brain function, and your immune system. How much do you need?
To know this, you have to measure the balance of omega-6 and omega-3, which you can do with the Zinzino test. We have tested several 100,000 people. Our statistics show that 95 out of 100 have too much omega-6 and too little omega-3.
Our DNA was programmed with a 1-to-1 balance. Today, the average is 15-to-1. According to the World Health Organization, a healthy balance for the heart should be less than 5-to-1, while science recommends 3-to-1. Balance oil is many times more effective than normal omega-3 supplements. Let us explain why. In most foods that are rich in omega-3, like seafood, seeds and nuts, we find them also to be rich in polyphenols. Polyphenols are micronutrients known for their power to reduce oxidation in your cells and cell membranes. Sadly, the omega-3 industry ignored this important truth. They left out the polyphenols. Zinzino respects and understands nature. We combine the highest quality omega-3 with the most potent source of polyphenols from a pre-harvested olive oil. When this works together, it creates a powerful synergy. For the final touch, we added the sunshine vitamin, the key for good immune health. Vitamin D3. Add life to your years. There is no other product like Balance Oil. Test yourself and choose one of our Balance products. Balance Oil with great flavors, or Aqua X that mixes with water into a lemon drink.
If you're vegetarian, we do have a vegan version as well. Okay, so as this mentioned, we were born with 1-to-1 with the balance of omega-6 to omega-3 as 1-to-1, and we really need to get to 3-to-1 or less. What we're finding in Europe is that on average we are at 15 omega-6 to 1 omega-3, so it's not too good. I mean, I personally was 16.5 to 1. Okay, and I eat loads. Well, I thought I ate a lot of omega-3. In Cyprus, for example, and Greece, we're finding at the moment that the average seems to be turning out about 30-40 to 1, because we don't eat the Mediterranean diet anymore. And so unfortunately, we're eating very unhealthily with loads of pork and meat and other things, as well as fast food. What we want to do is obviously be healthier. And the problem we have is we have a huge imbalance between our omega-6 and omega-3. And that's affecting a lot of things. It affects our brain, our hair, our heart, our skin, our organs, our joints. There's so many things that it affects. And basically, if you look at it, omega-6 is like in the car that you are driving along. You start it. What do you use? You use the accelerator pedal. Okay, so you press down the accelerator. That is the omega-6. And that's its job, to create inflammation. Because you say you have an injury or something, you say you exercise, say you have a cut. As it's healing, it goes a little bit red. And that is the inflammation that's being created by the omega-6 to help to heal you, which is great. The unfortunate thing is that omega-6 doesn't have a brake pedal. It just starts and pulls away and carries on accelerating. Omega-3 is effectively the brake pedal. it stops the inflammation. So the ideal is if you are balanced, you have start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And it's efficient use of inflammation and then stopping it at the right time. So inflammation is good if it's just small amounts. But if it's running away with you and you've got it's like a bushfire throughout your body, then you're going to start getting issues. Now, it may not be immediately, okay? You may think you're absolutely fine. It's known as the silent killer, but it might be a month, a year, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years before you actually have a problem. But then it might hit you suddenly and it could be very, very bad for you. Or it could hit with one thing and then another and another. You can have multiple inflammatory disorders. And quite often we don't realize we've got it. So if we go through it, what we need to do is have a look on the cellular level. The problem is when you have inflammation, the cell membrane, the outside of the cell, gets hard. And the good stuff, the nutrients, can't get in. And the bad stuff, like the toxins, can't get out. And that causes us problems. And then what we really want is to have this balance so that we reduce inflammation, and the polyphenols that were mentioned in the video help to make the membrane what we call permeable. So it's almost like it has little holes in it, okay? It allows the nutrients in and the bad stuff out so the toxins can leave, because that's how our bodies should be working. Goodness in, rubbish out. So that's what we want. The thing is, what we're asking you now is, are you in the danger zone? Do you know if you're in the danger zone? This is why we suggest that people get tested, because throughout the world, people are a huge amount of population. In fact, 97% of the population is out of balance, which means they have an underlying condition that at any point can come out and cause problems. So would you like to take a test? What I love about this is basically the company says that if you have balance of 3:1 or less on your first test before you have any of the products, and you're already 3:1 or less, the company will refund you your money, okay? Because there's no need for the product, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So far we've actually done, I think it's closer now to nearly 600,000 tests, which is quite a lot. So when we do the test, what is it? Well, it's a dry blood spot test. So we put it, basically what you do is you just have, there's a little thing in there, just stabs your finger. It's just, doesn't hurt, just a little prick, and 1-2 drops of blood into it's almost like a gauze type thing. And you put it in an envelope. It's sent off to Norway. What we do here in Cyprus and in a lot of the countries is we gather them together and then we send them all off with DHL direct to Norway. Once they get to Norway, it takes about 6-7 days to get the test back. And they're all done anonymously, all right? The lab is called Vitas. It's an independent lab. It has the GMP certification, which basically means that it's done anonymously. And they will lose that certification if it isn't done anonymously. So it's completely independent. And Vitas is very well recognized. It's got a great reputation. It works with the World Health Organization. It's worked with Harvard, with the University of Cambridge, many educational and other institutions as well. And this is how the results look. So that is somebody with their first test, where they're red color because they're in danger, they're unbalanced. And you can request to get an email when your tests are ready, okay? And when you download your test, basically it has on it your omega-6 to omega-3 balance. So it says, for example, for me was 16.5:1. It shows your protection value. It also your mental strength, the membrane fluidity. Remember we mentioned that the outside of the cell, how hard or soft that is, and your arachidonic acid as well, which is very, very important, okay? It actually measures 11 fatty acids, which are the fatty acids are part of the omega-6 and omega-3. And because of that, what it actually gives you, it tells you what it should be, it breaks it all down for each of those acids, what it should be and what yours is. And then you can see which ones you've got. You are very, very sort of completely away from the normal and to see which ones really need some work. And it also makes some suggestions food-wise for what you can do. But obviously, most of us don't want to make huge differences to a diet. We try and be a bit more healthy, but sometimes those changes have to be gradual. And for somebody to sustain it over years and years is difficult. So this is why, you want to have something that's going to help you do that easily. Okay. And you can track your progress. You can get another test. What we say is to get another test after 4 months and see that. Well, most people are, after 4 months, are actually in balance. And I'm going to go through that in a second. So basically what we found out, as I mentioned before, 5% of people in Europe have a ratio of 3:1 or less. So only 5%. That's 95% of the population are out of balance. And globally, it's 97% of the population are in the danger zone. And even if somebody is taking omega-3 supplement, most of the time, they're 7:1 or above. Okay. I talked to somebody the other day who'd been taking omega-3 supplements and spending a lot of money for about 30 years. And he was over 10:1. Okay. So 10 omega-6, 1 omega-3. So how do we fix the problem? Well, you saw the video about the oil, and we've worked with some very good doctors and scientists. Dr. Paul Clayton is very well recognized. He's a member of the Royal Society of Medicine in the UK. He is on the board of various bodies. He was on some for the Royal Society of Medicine, and he also consults around the world. Dr. Anola Ide, he actually invented the oil. Dr. Angela Rizzo, she invented the test. And we have a new addition, Dr. Abram as well. We also have a new addition, Chief Scientific Officer who's joined us from the UK, who's been involved in training Olympic athletes and people people go into the Arctic, okay, and training them. And he's also a clinical rehabilitation specialist, and he's nutritionist and everything. He's very knowledgeable as well. So we have a great scientific backing with us. And based on, remember, we've done now 600,000 tests roughly, okay? From that, we know that we can get 95% of the people who take the product will be in balance, which means 3:1 or less in 120 days or 4 months, which is pretty fast, okay? And so what does that mean? It means that your brain begins to work better, your hair quality begins to get better, heart, skin, organs and joints, everything. We're giving our bodies the best chance possible of working really well. So this is, for example, our Balance Oil Plus. Our products now are all 100% natural. There's nothing that's not natural about them, okay? And the polyphenols and the vitamin E help with the stopping oxidization. So, it doesn't get rusty, if you like. That's the, like metal gets rusty, okay? And it has the EPA, DHA, DPA fish. It's got the vitamin D, vitamin E, as I mentioned. And then we also have a water-soluble version for people who don't like oils, who want to just drink it in either water or something else. But also, it's also very good for people who can't digest oils. So say somebody has got liver problems, they've got psoriasis, an ulcer or something like that. This is another possibility that they could go for that might help them, okay, because it's already emulsified, it's already broken down the oil. And then, of course, we have the vegan one that I mentioned. Again, it might not just be that you're vegan. It might be that, for example, your DHA and SDA, because this has a slightly different sort of mix of fatty acids in it, are very low and you need to up those, for example. But as I say, total 100% vegan. This is another version for vegetarians and vegans. And we also have capsules as well for people who don't want to take any kind of oil or liquid. The good thing is, though, when you're taking the oil, is that you can change it according to your weight. The dosage is 0.15 milliliter per kilo that you are, okay? So it does mean that when you can adjust it, and that's how we're able to consistently manage to get people in balance in 120 days. And then here's all the certifications, which are very important because, for example, we work with a lot of athletes. So it's very important that we have the certification to say that it's drug-free, etc., so that they can use it for competitions. Now, one of the other things I mentioned, remember I said about oxidization? vitamin E plus the polyphenols as well, especially the polyphenols, makes a huge difference to how long the omega-3 lasts. Okay, well, the oil lasts. Okay, so most omega-3 supplements that you get just don't last. And what difference does that make? Well, if you imagine when you digest something, it takes a long time for the food to get all the way down to your stomach, be digested, and the goodness to get out to your body. Well, it's the same when you're taking a supplement. The problem is, if the supplement doesn't last long enough, that it completely degrades by the time it gets down to your stomach or just after that, it doesn't get all around your body. So this is where ours, if you like, shows how much better it is, 35 hours that it's lasting. So that means that, of course, it helps to get to the whole of the body. All right, so that's another big difference between ours and many other omega-3 supplements. So as I mentioned to you before, 95% of people that take the product are back in balance in 120 days. In fact, I know Andreas, he was 55 omega-6 to 1 and had a lot of health issues. And in 2 months, he went down to 4 to 1. So it's not even 4 months. And already he's down to 4 to 1. We've also had sort of a vegetarian in Greece, and vegetarians tend to have very low omega-3. They actually tend to have a very high balance in that it's above 40, 50. They tend to be pretty high because the vegetarian and vegan diet doesn't include much omega-3. So this gentleman was 77 to 1. And then after 2 or 3 months, he was down to 7 to 1. Okay, already. So it doesn't really matter where you start. It's still getting you right down to balance. Omega-3 is good for from pregnancy, for the fetus, and then like when you have a child sort of 6 months old, all the way up through your life, affecting more and more things, starting with your brain and immune and adding more and more things as you go through. Okay, so these are some of the health claims we're allowed to say. We're only allowed to say things that have been confirmed. Okay, so we're allowed to say it's very, very good for the brain, heart, the immune system, your vision, your teeth. This is for the oil as a whole. Your bone, your blood pressure. I mentioned the fetus, for your cells. It's good for so many things. For myself, as I mentioned, my sleep, my digestion, many, many things improved, and inflammation in my body definitely improved. So this is the first step to good health, is to get your omega-6 and omega-3 in balance. And it makes sense to find out, first of all, where you are, because, you know, if you're already taking omega-3, for example, do you know whether it works? Have you ever, tested it to know? So it's a good idea to find out. And also then it allows you to measure, to see how much it's improved and where you're going.